Starter activity. This should take no more than 10 minutes. When the Germans attacked in Belgium, they quickly beat the armies defending the borders and managed to get into France very quickly. The British and French generals, uncertain how to stop the German advance, decided to dig in and ordered the construction of the trenches to act as a barrier against the German attack. In pairs, please read the description or listen to the description of the trench system. Draw a bird's eye view of the trench system as you see it being described in the text. You must show both the German and British trenches and the land in between them. Next, label some of the key features of the trenches. You might like to draw a separate cross-section of a trench to show how it looked like inside. A description of the trench system. The trenches that the British dug were usually made of 3 lines. The front line trenches were usually 1 metre wide at the bottom and 2 metres deep. Duck boards were placed on the ground to act as drainage. Men would walk on them to avoid the mud. On the other side of the trench, facing the enemy, a fire step was cut into the wall. This was for soldiers to shoot from. Sandbags were placed at the top of the trench. This would stop the trench caving in if a bomb went off nearby. It also provided more protection from bullets. Ammunition shelves were also cut into the side of the trench walls which faced no man's land, the land in between the 2 armies' trench systems. At various points in the wall, dugouts were cut into the trenches to provide shelter for sleeping or resting soldiers. In front of the trench, barbed wire was rolled out. This was to stop the enemy able to charge at the trench. Behind the front line there were support trenches, and further back reserve trenches. Linking the 3 lines were a series of communication trenches. There were also blind alleys, dug to confuse the enemy in case of a successful attack. The whole of the trench system was made to zigzag so as to prevent the enemy firing down the line of trenches if they were captured. Please pause. This is a description of the trench system shown by an aerial photograph taken over the front line. The front line trench is identifiable down here. You'll note that none of these trenches are in a straight line. This is the zigzagging that you were told about in the instructions. The communication trench, here, linking the front line and the lines behind. The support trench, running behind the front line. The reserve trench here at the back, where soldiers were rested in between the battles. And no man's land here, this line of space between the British front line and the German front line. You can see at different points the distance between the 2 lines varies. Sometimes these 2 trench systems could be remarkably close here or much further apart. No area of no man's land was safe from the gunfire of either side. Please pause. This is a cross-section of the trenches with the key features labelled. Barbed wire to prevent an enemy attack. This wire would have to be cut if the Germans attacked the British or if the British wished to cross no man's land to attack the Germans. Sandbags for cover and to stop bombs exploding around here and damaging the trench. They also provide cover for the soldiers firing from the fire step. Ammunition shelves cut into the side of the trench. Duck boards were placed at the bottom of the trench to keep the bottom trench dry, and also a basic drain was dug. Dugouts built into the side of the trench provided a place for soldiers to rest. The reserve, or back of the trench, was further reinforced with sandbags, and here possibly machine guns would be positioned to be able to fire across no man's land over here. Please pause.